It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
No fear, no fear, no fear. Here on Declare Your Independence with me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona, from the BEAU to full studios of Freedoms with an S, freedomsphoenix.com. Our guest this hour is Murtaza Hussain. Now, we're going to be talking about the topic of British austerity and the riots. Now, he blogs over at Revolution by the Book. Revolution by the Book. Now, he recently did an article, Austerity and the Roots of Britain's Turmoil. Now, this was published, I think, in Salon at salon.com. And I wanted to talk to Murtaza because, you know, we're not really getting any kind of an understanding of what's happening over there and how it may come here. Why it would, why it wouldn't. So let's go ahead. Murtaza, I got you there?
Yes, thanks for having me, Ernest.
It's my pleasure. And where do you reside? Are you here in the United States, or where do you come from?
I'm currently in Toronto, in Canada.
Is that where you normally live, or do you travel the world? I mean, you're interested in this and writing and being published in Salon. Why? I mean, what's so great about you, man? You got to help me out.
I move around a bit. I've been based in Toronto for a few years now, but I've been to London recently as well. I've been throughout Europe and then North America as well. But currently I'm based in Toronto. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about this. Now, in your article, it basically goes like this. It's like, well, what'd you expect was going to happen when economic opportunity dries up and then the government starts cutting out all kinds of programs to distract the people from their poverty? That basically sums it up, right? That's basically what the people in the neighborhoods have been saying as well, too. About a week before the riots actually broke out, they broke out not because of any specific economic policy, but because of police shooting. The people in the neighborhood had predicted that the closure of the youth centers, where the unemployed youth were hanging out before this, would result in eventually riots. And not less than a week later, they did culminate in riots.
Okay, so tell me about the shooting. I mean, I hear about it. I'm really holding back of learning anything because I wanted to get it straight from you. So let's go ahead and I'll be asking all the questions I know my audience would want to have asked. What shooting? Of who? Why?
Initially, it was said that there was an individual in the neighborhood who had shot at the police, and then the police had shot him, they fired back and shot him. But later it came to light that actually that individual had never shot the police and was not armed, and he'd just been apparently shot. But this actually came out after the riots had already started. So the individual had been claimed to be a drug dealer or so forth, but that had not been confirmed at the time. And then later when it came out that it turns out that he had not shot at the police, that really increased the anger of the people who were rioting anyways.
Well, so now rioting, I mean, we've had riots in America before during the civil rights movement, during the people that were economically disadvantaged and not happy about some police officers that have been abusing them, getting away with, fill in the blank reason. And it seems kind of along the same lines, but there's something else behind it. There are services that they expected from government, desired, used, kept them distracted, or whatever, they're being cut. And it seems like they're trying to make that is a justification for their displaying the anger. What are these services? Why are they so important? How does that play into it?
So currently the UK government is in the middle of
All right, we lost him. Go ahead and get him back. Yeah, long distance. Go ahead and turn that off. Thank you. Yeah, we'll get him back here in just a second. Well, the point, of course, now that he's not on right now, what we're trying to build up to, I want to get his philosophy. You know, what's he looking to do? You know, is it that we need more government or not? You know, is there some program is there some government cure to stop this? Or is it something much larger? Is it the fact that he even gave it to begin with, killed the economy by taking from other people that produce? I mean, you know, this is the kind of information that I need. I apologize for our getting cut off, but go ahead. You know, finish. Take up where you left off.
Sure. So the UK government's currently in the middle of a 5-year plan of cuts to government services such as subsidized housing and education. And these riots are actually part of a pattern of protesting and unrest within Britain. Not just a few months ago, there were hundreds of thousands of people in the streets protesting against cuts to education, which tripled the cost of education immediately, and cuts to other social services. And really, these riots can be viewed as part in the context of that. Now, I don't want to say that they're not criminal, because they absolutely are criminal, the actions that have been happening the last few weeks, and they should be punished. But in order to avoid further of these disturbances, it's worth reflecting how these government policies are affecting people on the streets.
Okay, now let's go ahead and talk about these government policies. 5-year plan, austerity, we're going to do because we have to. What's this plan? Where did it come from? Cameron comes out with this. We got to cut back services because why? What was going on?
This is really the trend among Western economies now to trim government down to the bare bones, but not to do it in the places where it doesn't affect people, but to do it where people really feel it, such as social services. The main thing that's really one of the biggest cuts that came recently was 68% cuts to subsidized housing. This is in order to lower the tax base for the richest people in society. They're cutting services to the lowest people in society, and they can do that kind of with impunity because those people are more disenfranchised. But then you get results like these. You get people who are disaffected and alienated from society at the lower levels, and then sometimes they culminate in riots such as this.
Okay, now, as we have our discussion, I'm sure we'll get to your philosophical opinion and so on. But I was kind of stick to the facts here, and I want to make sure that we understand how this might come to America, because here we're having the same kinds of discussion. We have an enormous budget deficit. We got raised to see. We got trillions and trillions of dollars. Heck, just our debt is probably more than half of the population of the planet, and their entire GDP or something. I mean, it's just, you can come up with some pie chart to show how screwed we are here in America, and I don't need a pie chart, I know. Okay, so here we go. If we are going to have a government that supplies this kind of stuff, it has to come from somewhere. When you have to cut it because you can't sustain it anymore, where do you cut? Well, just as in Britain, I would imagine, instead of cutting back on the empire or the militarism or how many countries we're invading or how much we're spending in, some sand heap somewhere, no. We're going to go after the people that won, in their opinion, can't fight back, don't matter, doesn't make a difference, what are they going to do about it? And for some reason, either they didn't anticipate them reacting violently, or they wanted them to. So I'm just, comment on that statement, where you think this is going.
No, that's absolutely the case, too. And they're cutting services. Like, there's no question that we have a huge debt, and there needs to be cuts to spending, and spending needs to be decreased. Right now, you have military spending, for instance, at levels that are above the peak of World War II. And even though there's no specific major enemy country to be fighting, and you wonder, when we decide to make cuts, and you think about national security, if you are going to cut where in a place that's obscure, that no one's ever heard of, and really has a really tenuous relationship with national security, or you're going to cut at home where people really might react violently, and maybe on purpose so they can further cut, or maybe they never anticipated it. But really, when you're thinking about national security, you should think about securing the actual country you live in and making sure that it's safe right there.
Well, national security is always what they say it is. I mean, it's national security, that fill in the blank, and they use that as an excuse to do whatever the heck they want. And I'm looking at, the security of the nation, when you got your own people rising up against a man, that's right in your face, as opposed to this fictitious, made up, and kind of maybe potential bad guy 12,000 miles away. So I'm going, okay, we need to deal with this issue of what's happening in Britain, understand it a little bit, so that we know what's possible, what may be coming here, and if we can't stop it, how we can survive it. We'll be right back with Murtaza Hussain in a little bit.